Hi and welcome back. In today's video, we're going to be covering bank fraud prevention scams. So let's get started. What are bank fraud prevention scams? It's either a text, a phone call, or an email, sometimes a combination of the three, from a scammer impersonating a bank. If it's a text, you'll get a text saying that there was a large purchase from your account, and if you can reply yes or no to that being a charge that you made. If it is a phone call, then it's usually on the caller ID, either the bank's name or something like Bank Fraud Center. Things along that line, as well as they sometimes will send emails saying suspicious activity alert, and then have similar verbiage to the text message or over the phone when they call saying, hi, we called, this is your bank account, and we have noticed that there is a large transaction of $1,700. Is that something that you just purchased? Tell me yes or no. Generally, the verbiage that they use is compelling, and again, they make it seem very urgent. If you respond back, then generally the scammer will contact you through a different method. So if you responded yes or no through a text message, then they will call you. If they call you, then they usually say that they will call you back in a moment and then call you again. And then with emails, they might give you a number or have you reach out to a website, portal, etc. to review your account. Generally, if they call you, that will sometimes state the bank's name or say Bank Fraud Center. There's sometimes ways where they will spoof an ID and make it look as if you are being legitimately called from the bank's number, so you want to pay attention to that. Again, this is for calls going to you, not if you call their number. Generally, that second contact is when they also start asking you a bunch of personal information questions. Usually they say it's to verify that you are the account holder, but you need to be paying attention because this is getting your personal information that could be used to then get access to your account. Also, one thing to note too is that these scams are not always immediate, so you may not see fraudulent charges to your account like the day after these type of text messages or emails or call scams. They will sometimes lull you into a false sense of security where they don't do anything to your account for a bit, and so you think, oh, it wasn't a scam, it was legitimate, and then all of a sudden you start seeing these withdrawals. How common is this scam? So the Federal Trade Commission, or FTC, actually listed that bank impersonation was the most prevalent in text scams. According to them, in 2022, the American consumers lost $330 million to text scams. Last year, so in 2022, there were over 22,000 reports of fraudulent bank impersonation text scams. And I want you to note that these are for the ones that were actually reported, so I'm sure that there were thousands and thousands of more instances that just weren't brought to the FTC's attention. The top companies identified as having bank impersonation were Bank of America at 14%, Wells Fargo and Chase both tied at 12%, and then Citibank was 9%. The rest of the percentages are for other banks, and often there were times where banks weren't even included in the text messages themselves. So again, it is a large amount. And according to the FTC, the median amount of money lost to the bank impersonation text scams was $3,000. How do these scammers seem legit? The scammers use techniques in order to make their communications with you seem as if they are coming legitimately from the bank. So they use things like caller ID spoofing, they use similar emails, they are able to mask and hide their actual URLs and emails, etc. So it's kind of elaborate, but there are methods that they try to make themselves seem legit, as well as the fact that their emails, their communications, their phone calls are all generally scripted with verbiage that is very similar to what a bank would actually say in those types of situations, to then again make it seem as if they are legitimate. I just want to note here really quickly that most banks will send you automated messages through a 6-digit number, and generally scammers will send you messages and it still populates as a 10-digit normal number. So that's one thing that you could potentially look out for to see if it is legit or not legit. How do scammers get people to fall for it? Well, first things first is that they use convincing language, verbiage that is very similar to what a bank would actually use. Another thing is that they stress urgency, and by stressing urgency, they make it seem as though you have no choice in the matter but to immediately take action and therefore it doesn't give you enough time to process whether or not they are legitimate. Things that they will say in order to put pressure on you and make you fearful of making the wrong choice or the wrong action is that they will say that because of this fraudulent charge, the account might be closed, your money might be frozen, your assets might be taken, things of that nature which make you go, oh, there is a serious consequence if I don't take action now. Another thing is that scammers will ask you for personal information in order to verify what is in their records. Banks sometimes do this as well, but you can also ask them for information in regards to your account to make sure that they actually have information on you. Some of the information that these scammers will ask for include your address, your social security number. They may ask you to give them your PIN number, which a bank will never do over the phone or through a text message. And sometimes they may also ask you for a verifiable code. And I want you to pay attention to that because they are often just going onto your actual bank's website, putting in your information, and then having it spoof a one-time code to you for them to be told over the phone and then gain access to your account. How can you be on the lookout for these scams? First things first is that you should always be skeptical when you get out of the blue communications from a bank, because generally banks do not reach out to you except for some promotional offers. Another thing is you want to see how the information is communicated to you. Again, banks generally communicate promotional offers like credit card offers or special CD rates, etc. They don't generally urge you through an email about your account security. When you get emails that have links and you're not sure whether or not that link is valid, don't click on it. Go to your actual bank's accounts portal and then get the information that you need or to verify. Another thing you could do if you live close to your local bank branch is to actually pop in and talk to a teller and bring the information that you were sent, because they can better direct you and see what's in their records to see if there is indeed some type of account flag, etc. If you receive a text or a phone call or an email that immediately asks for personal information, don't give them your personal information, because again, in general, the bank will not require or need much of that if it was legitimate, and normally you have to reach out to them. And the last thing that you can do is use two-factor authentication on your banking sites, so that way you can confirm whether or not someone is trying to get into your account. What do you do if you suspect that the email you just received or the text message you received is a fraud scam? Well, the first thing is don't respond and don't click on any links. If you think it is a potential scam, then there are methods to report them to the carriers or the email processors and even to the FTC. So listen as I will be telling you some of the emails and numbers that you can contact, but I will also on the screen put the URLs and put them in the description down below. For phones, if you think a text message is a scam, you can forward that text message to 7726. Again, that is 7726, which automatically reaches your carrier's spam detection department, etc. Like each carrier has a different name for it, but 7726 is the number that you forward the message to. You also on your phone, iPhone or Android, should have an option to report as spam or as well as block the number. One way to lessen this is to actually register your number on the national do not call list, and that should also help with not having your number be distributed as much for promotional offers. Another thing that you can do is that you can then contact the FTC to report it. For emails, generally you should have a button in order to report it or send it to spam, mark it as spam, and you should also be able to block the sender. Another thing you could do is actually forward the email. So I'm going to put on the screen 3 different emails that you could forward it to. The first email is reportphishing, phishing @apwg.org. The next one is reportphishing @antifishing.org. So again, that is reportphishing @antifishing.org. And lastly, there is spam @uce.gov. If you want to report to the FTC, which is the Federal Trade Commission, then you can go to ftc.gov ftc.gov/complaint, or you can go to reportfraud.ftc.gov. So yeah, that's the basics around this bank fraud prevention scam. If you have any questions or you just want to say hi, leave a comment down below. I'm more than happy to answer your questions, and it's just me. So if I say hi, it's legitimately me. For those of you who are subscribers, thank you again for tuning in. And if you are not a subscriber, I hope you consider joining me on this lovely journey where I am posting personal finance videos on a weekly basis. My biggest wish is that you share this video with a friend, because it would be so nice if we can lower the amount of people falling for these type of scams. So by having more knowledge about these scams out in the world, hopefully we can get people to fall for it less. So yeah, as always, I hope you have a great one, and until the next video, I'll see ya. Bye!